Simon Parkin.
BBC Radio Somerset.
Yep, that's us. Just gone 12:15. Of course, there will be entertainment throughout the festive season here on the radio. Have you got your TV listings magazine? Don't say Radio Times. And been circling all the TV shows that you're going to watch out for over the Christmas period? Yeah. Do you remember the old days when there was big excitement to do with the Christmas movies? What would they be showing on BBC One after The Queen? A film we hadn't seen because it had been in the pictures like 5 years ago, and we couldn't afford the VHS back then, and that was the big excitement of the Christmas movie. Well, if you think those days are gone, think again. Yeah, because the weather outside might be frightful. Frightfully chilly at any rate, but the films are still delightful, and so we thought we'd have a meander through some of the best Christmas films, some of the unusual Christmas films that maybe you've not heard of, some of the modern Christmas films that might take you by surprise, in the company of someone who knows his movies. Jamie Skinner is from Midsummer Norton and is our resident film expert. Afternoon, Jamie.
Good afternoon.
I'm all of a dither. So, look, it's Christmas Eve. First things first. How is your household looking this Christmas? Are you there or thereabouts? Are you ready for the big day?
I've got at least a couple of baubles up. Okay. I think the presents still need wrapping.
Okay. Right, well, look, we won't hold you up too long. We don't want to get in the way of ruining your Christmas. But, yeah, I mean, you are a film lover, and Christmas films, I mean, they are quite a special thing, aren't they?
They are very much. I mean, along with songs, as you very well know, there's something about them that, when done just right, can really get you in that festive mood. There are particular times when I've been not particularly festive, or Christmas doesn't have that same feel, and then a single scene can just put me into that kind of nostalgic mood.
Yeah, and there is something quite nice, particularly now it's suddenly turned cold today, and it's going to stay chilly over the Christmas period. There is something about sort of hunkering down, putting on a good film, and just seeing what happens next, with maybe a mince pie on the go as well. So let's start by talking about the classics. I mean, there is one film that sort of is, the story is very familiar to us, but it was done in a very special way that took we grown-ups as well as the kids, to our hearts, this film, didn't it?
If this is the take that I'm thinking of, very, very much so, and I class this, I believe you're talking about Muppet Christmas Carol as the greatest Christmas film there is, an annual cinema watch for me. Just Michael Caine treating it extremely seriously while surrounded by the Muppets, and actually wanting to do a proper adaptation.
Well, let's have a little treat of a clip.
If you please, Mr. Scrooge, it's gotten colder. Yeah. And the bookkeeping staff would like to have an extra shovel full of coal for the fire.
We can't do the bookkeeping. Yeah, all of our pens have turned to inksicles. Yeah, our assets are frozen.
How would the bookkeepers like to be suddenly
unemployed? This is my island in the sun.
Excellent stuff. Muppet Christmas Carol, I've had the pleasure of speaking to, let me make sure I get enough greats, I think it's the great-great-great-granddaughter of Charles Dickens, who lives round here, and she was talking about how this particular version of that classic story is just so special to everyone who's ever seen it.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that really sells it and proves how well it works is you get towards the end, there are some wonderful songs all the way throughout, but Michael Caine gets his own towards the end, Thankful Heart, which is a really nice song, and it's one of those cases where he may not be the best singer in the world, and he's doing kind of choreography that looks like it might as well just be called The Truck Driver and the Turnaround, but he is having a really lovely time, and he, again, totally sells it with that transformation, because he may not be the best singer in the world, but we just buy into it because there's a real sincerity to the Muppet Christmas Carol that you can feel that, yeah, they just wanted to make a good, solid film.
And all of the Muppet films, to be fair, have been pretty good, haven't they? But there is certainly something about the Muppets playing the characters as well that you wouldn't have thought on paper would add to, but it does. It absolutely does.
Totally, and the same goes for Muppet Treasure Island as well, in which Tim Curry does the opposite of Michael Caine and hams it up and outacts the Muppets.
Yes, which is a tough thing to do when you're up against a bit of old anorak. But right, let's move on to I'm going to say controversial Christmas film. Here's a clip first.
You know my name, but who are you? Just another American who saw too many movies as a child? Another orphan of a bankrupt culture who thinks he's John Wayne, Rambo, Marshall Dillon.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually. I really like those sequin shirts.
The effortless cool of Bruce Willis there. Now, I mean, where do we go with this? Because it was set at Christmas. Is it actually a Christmas film?
Yes, because they mentioned Christmas all the way through. I rewatched it the other day, and I realised, kind of for the first time, just how many Christmas songs there are all the way through and how many people sing. It's scattered all the way throughout.
And to sit down to a Christmas film, we traditionally are going to think, oh, it's going to be a lovely, lots of bright lights kind of family kind of movie. But no, here we've got proper gripping drama.
Yeah, which is why I think there's that debate as to whether it's a Christmas film, because we, as you mentioned, you kind of expect those kind of cosy, slightly snuggly films, something that may mention Santa or just Christmas all the way through. And Gremlins we count as a Christmas film, and I think because the Gremlins themselves are kind of chaotic, so we just see it as the chaotic Christmas film. But Die Hard, because it isn't quite that cozy film and it is that big actioner, we kind of view as, is it? And I think and absolutely it is. And I would just like to say as well, I genuinely believe that in terms of its screenplay, the structure, the way that it's put together, just all the quips that you get, that screenplay is one of the best there has ever been. It's one of those that genuinely should be studied.
And Alan Rickman, of course, amazing in it, without a shadow of a doubt. Brilliant actor.
Oh, totally.
Well, we shall move on from Die Hard to a film that everyone has always said is the epitome of the Christmas movie.
You see, George, you really had a wonderful life. Don't you see what a mistake it would be to throw it away?
Clarence.
Yes, George?
Where's Mary?
Oh, well, I can't...
I don't know how you know these things, but tell me, where is she? If you know where she is, tell me where my wife is.
I mean, it is dramatic, and also the story is, you know, it's, again, it turns out all right in the end, but it doesn't start off as a happy Christmas story.
Totally, and I think it kind of links back to A Christmas Carol in a way. A lot of Christmas films find themselves based on that, or It's a Wonderful Life, because you look for a redemption arc. You look for this sense of hope in your Christmas films of, you know, goodwill and peace to all men, and yeah, just some form of hope that makes you feel a bit better about humanity and yourself.
How did It's a Wonderful Life become the kind of the definitive Christmas movie for quite a few years? I watched it recently for the very first time, and don't get me wrong, it was perfectly great, but I didn't kind of get whatever everybody else got.
So the way that it became such a treasure classic, when it was released, a bit like The Wizard of Oz, really, it wasn't a big success. I think it lost money, and then I think it was the public stations like PBS in America, effectively showed it on reruns every single year at Christmas, and it became this staple. It became something that everyone would just gather around and watch, and that's how it grew its classic status. But again, it kind of comes down to that redemption arc and just how much we buy into Jimmy Stewart as George Bailey and feel by the end that elation as he's running through the street, you know, Merry Christmas movie house, and just buying into that so much. I think there is something really quite just emotionally understanding and human about it. There are some who, maybe because of the ideas of an angel coming down, compare it to something like A Matter of Life and Death, which would have been a couple of years before, I think.
Also, I guess back then, and I know there are the sort of the Bing Crosby Christmas movies and all that kind of stuff, but there wouldn't have been the volume of Christmas films that there are now, which possibly doesn't help in terms of it standing alone.
Perhaps not. There's another film from literally the year after that has a number of similar ideas called The Bishop's Wife that's kind of not as remembered. It's kind of grown in how many people are talking about it over the last couple of years, particularly after it was re-released for its anniversary a couple of years ago. But Cary Grant as an angel who visits David Niven. Niven is a priest. He is obsessed with building the perfect cathedral. He starts to ignore his wife, and Cary Grant kind of comes down to say, look, you need to remember your human relationships, being kind and nice to people. And there are a few similarities there, and that's also a really lovely film that's worth checking out.
Well, just the words Cary and Grant and David and Niven have sold it for me. I will look out for that one. Right, we've done the Christmas classics. We're going to have a look at some modern films, some films that we may not know about next, so stay there. We'll do more with Jamie after Darlene Love and Winter Wonderland on BBC Radio Somerset.
Simon Parkin.
BBC Radio Somerset.
Big song medley on the way just before the rewind at 1 o'clock. And so we are talking movies. We have our resident film experts from Midsummer Norton. We have Jamie Skinner with us. We've talked about the sort of the biggies, the Muppet Christmas Carol, Die Hard, and It's a Wonderful Life. All available, by the way, on various streaming services at this point. Let's divert a little and do some modern Christmas films. So, Jamie, where do we start?
I think with the most recent proper modern classic, it's been a while since we've had one, but The Holdovers really seems to have been embraced within a year of its release.
Okay, so this is on Netflix. Here's a clip.
You're not your father. How do you know? Because no one is his own father. I'm not my dad, no matter how hard he tried to beat that idea into me. I find the world a bitter and complicated place, and it seems to feel the same way about me.
And a Merry Christmas to you too. So just give us a bit of a clue as to what The Holdovers is about.
You picked a really wonderful clip there that kind of summarises the relationships in a way that The Holdovers is about. But the very base of it, a boarding school where the kids who have nowhere to go at Christmas are helmed over. They stay for the 2 weeks at the boarding school. There's one teacher who looks after them. This year, it's Paul Hunnam, played by Paul Giamatti, brilliantly played by him. And he kind of patronises the kids. He rules with an iron fist, so to say. And Angus Tully, played by Dominic Sessa, is not a fan of that. They also have Mary, who is the school cook, played brilliantly by Davine Joy Randolph, who won the Oscar for this film, and very deservingly so. She lost her son in the Vietnam War. This film is set in 1970, and it is about people who are kind of broken and fractured and maybe a bit bitter at the world, or feel lost, or they feel a sense of loss, and them coming together, finding this kind of spirit to move ahead and power forward and maybe not be so beaten down by the world.
And I guess as well, one of the best dramatic storylines involves people who are together when they wouldn't ordinarily have met in other circumstances. That kind of the oddballs or whatever in close proximity to each other is quite an interesting plot twist, isn't it?
And absolutely, it's a classic kind of Fred, and you mentioned dramatic Fred there, but also comedically, The Holdovers is a really funny film. There are some brilliant kind of scathing one-liners that Paul Giamatti gets to kind of just bring people down.
Well, that was, like you say, only came out last year. Let's go back in time a little bit further. 2003, Tokyo Godfathers. What's that one about?
So this is the free Godfathers story. There have been a number of versions of this over the years, particularly in kind of the 30s and 40s. A group of kind of outcasts, usually viewed as homeless people in these films, find a baby and decide to take it back to its parents, but they don't know how to find its parents. And Tokyo Godfathers puts that on the streets of, you may have guessed, Tokyo. An animated version by Satoshi Kon, who did some really acclaimed films, Millennium Actress, Paprika, Perfect Blue, and this kind of sits amongst those. And I think what it really gets right, there's a vibrancy to the animation that brings to life the characters who really, really should not fit together, but they're together because they need each other for survival, just to get through the day, and however much they bicker at it with each other. There's a real heart to this film, and it has become something of a cult classic over the last few years.
Why are you so late?
Sorry, I know. Crazy story. I almost died on the way. And if it weren't for those three, I never would have made it. This is my daughter, Kyoko.
Hello?
As soon as you mentioned animated, obviously I thought that's not going to work that great on the radio. But is it sort of age appropriate for younger people?
I believe it's got a 12 rating, so obviously
not too young.
Parental,
yeah,
so obviously parental discretion and such. But it's 12. Just go with the BBFC.
Okay, then we always trust the BBFC. Since Natasha Kaplinsky has been signing off on those films, we believe her. Excellent. Okay, final one in this section is a movie called Klaus.
Yes, this went to Netflix a couple of years ago, and I think took quite a few people by surprise, because we've had the kind of what are Santa's origins a couple of times, but this is just a really nice, charming look at that. A postman played, I think, by Jason Schwartzman, meets Santa, voiced by J.K. Simmons, and they start to just deliver gifts around, and it's all about this is almost the opposite of Arthur Christmas. That's the big high-tech version, and also another very good modern take. This is the everything is stripped back, we're just kicking off here, and again, just really rather charming.
Hey, loser! What gives? I sent my letter and all I got was a lousy clump of coal.
Well, it serves you right. Devilish little tadpoles like yourself don't get toys from Klaus.
Oh, yeah? And how would he know what I'm up to unless you ratted on me?
Oh, I didn't have to. He knows.
Oh, the drama. We love that. That sounds great. Let's talk about some films that, that we haven't ever heard of, old ones and young ones as well.
Yeah, I love an alternative Christmas film. Now, for me, a proper alternative Christmas film is something like Iron Man 3, which, if you think, Die Hard is a Christmas film, I definitely believe that Iron Man 3 is. But to kick this off, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful film that I discovered a couple of years ago and has kind of become something of an annual watch for me. 1952's The Holly and the Ivy.
Ever since my husband died, I've been living in hotels. But I've never yet spent a hotel Christmas. The management prides itself on creating a family atmosphere here. Oh, yes, but it's never quite the same, is it? You see, I always go to Norfolk to my sister's. But she died, poor darling.
Oh, no. Oh, the lovely clipped dialect and accents there, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and that's all the way throughout the film. And I think there's a couple of maybe stage actors in there as well, based on a play of the same name, but a young Denham Elliott as well in there.
Crikey. And so the premise of it, mentioning they're going to a hotel in Norfolk?
Yeah, that's nothing really to do with the film itself. It is a family getting together at Christmas, all slightly different walks of life, but they all kind of still feel under the hand of the father, who is a priest. He's quite downbeat about the season. He just thinks, I'm going to write my sermon. I've done hundreds of them before, and it's just another one that everyone is going to ignore. Everyone kind of feels pressure from him to be this perfect vision. It's something that still feels very contemporary in a way. And I think it is done, you mentioned there the clipped accent, there is something just very traditional, very British about it. And I can't entirely put my finger on it as to what is so striking about it, but I think that, yes, its themes and ideas we've seen a number of times before over the decades since, or a number of times in the decades since even, but it feels like there's a real weight to the drama that just draws you in, and I think really does capture something about the Christmas season by the end of it. Again, it's something that really struck me when I first watched it a couple of years ago, and it's been an annual watch ever since.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So that's called The Holly and the Ivy. Now, here's the title that you wouldn't expect on a Christmas list: Anna and the Apocalypse.
I'm going to put this very briefly, and I'm going to hope that I sell it to you, Simon. Okay. This is the Christmas zombie musical that you need.
Okay, which is something that I've often thought that's what's been lacking in my life.
Hey, it's a brand new day, and I'm miles away. I am miles away. Hey, I am miles away.
I mean, the song sounds great. Is it ultra gory, or is it not too bad?
15 rating, but I would say there are much gorier, much worse. It's certainly much more comic than, I think, full-on squeamish horror.
Okay.
But the song, you mentioned there, decent song, the songs are great for this. There are some really catchy tracks.
Excellent. Well, Shaun of the Dead is one of my favourites, and I'm a big fan of the TV show The Walking Dead, so that's on my list now. Your final choice. This is called Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. What do we know about this, then?
So, a bit like Anna and the Apocalypse is that kind of horror comedy. This doesn't quite have the songs, but this is another film that's become something of a cult classic in the years since it was released. This is a slightly cold, creepy, darkly comic horror tale, not quite Origins of Santa. Finnish film about, I believe, a group of farmers, hunters maybe, who discover that a lot of reindeer, have been killed. And then suddenly this man who may or may not be Santa, a really silent, looming, creeping, glaring figure appears. And then all hell breaks loose. And as I said, this is a really chilling, creepy, but rather funny, very definitively Finnish film.
Okay, well, let's to finish. Here's the Finnish film.
We found something else than just plain rocks and dirt.
This mountain is like a giant icebox.
For storing what?
Drill deeper. Bear the dynamite. You have a grave to rob.
Wow. Listen, thank you so much for talking us through all of these films. Is there one film that you haven't yet watched yet that you're going to save till tonight, and then that is right, Christmas? It's Christmas now kind of film.
Well, I would be watching Paddington when it's on BBC One later, but that's not quite Christmas. But
it's a great film. It is a great film. So.
It is, absolutely. I love that bear. There's a film that I watched, a documentary a year or two ago called Dear Santa, about the US postal system and its Operation Santa scheme. And it branches off into so many different directions and how it helps so many people. And a bit like the Paddington films, it's as Aunt Lucy says, if we're kind and polite, the world will be right. It is just kindness and generosity and love. And we need so much more of that. And I may be watching that for that sense of hope and redemption that we mentioned at the start.
Well, I hope that your wrapping gets done. And listen, thank you so much for your kindness and your generosity in giving us your time today and talking through the films. We will get you on next year because it's going to be a great year for films, 2026, isn't it?
Hopefully so. There's a number of things I'm looking forward to. A couple of things I've seen that are really good. It's looking promising already.
Jamie, listen, thank you so much for your time. Have a lovely Christmas.
You too.